Hi guys, sorry we're a little bit late. We had some technical difficulties on our end. While we're waiting for some viewers to come on, I'm going to be interviewing Brittany, and she is a user of Allard. So we're excited to get to talk to her a little bit and get to learn a little bit more about her. While people are checking in, and I will just introduce myself a little bit. So I'm Wendy Garrett. I'm one of the newest Get Back Up co-captains, and I wear an Allard toe off, and I love it. I had an accident which left me with a couple spinal cord injuries, and I went 3 years undiagnosed with no use of my left leg, so I was unable to run. I was unable to coach gymnastics and do all things that I liked. Finally, after 3 years, I got diagnosed and got fitted for a toe off, and then I've been running marathons ever since. So I love mine. All right, so let's check in here and see if we can get Brittany. Yay! It worked. Hi, Brittany.
Hi. Let me
Sorry
reposition
about
the
the
camera
technical
really quick.
difficulties.
Let me do some crazy repositioning. You guys are getting like a full-on close-up now. Let's see if this works. Let me reposition. Uh-oh. Wait a minute. Okay. Hi, how are you?
Very good. Good. It's nice to meet you
Nice to meet you as well.
face to face. Where are we talking to you today from? Where are you at?
I'm in Oh, there you are. I don't know if you got that. I'm in Orange
Good.
County, California.
You are awesome. So you're hopefully
Yeah.
having good weather then for the
It's been a
quarantine.
little spotty. It's been super
Oh,
funky. We had a really, really beautiful day about 2 days ago. Really sunny, really warm, and I think today's really pretty again. But it's been spotty with super, super cold and windy. It's like I'm from
oh,
Boston, so I don't want any of that anymore.
yes. Yeah, I'm in Oregon. We're not having the best weather, but hopefully
Oh,
hopefully soon.
yeah,
Um,
for sure.
well, I'm excited to get to talk to you today and hear a little bit more about your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me. Absolutely.
Yeah, and so maybe just tell us a little bit more about what your life was like before you started having mobility issues.
Sure. I have been a singer-songwriter well, I've been performing since I was very, very little, about 4 or 5 years old, through Disney and Nickelodeon
Oh, wow.
projects and everything. And then I got into my own music with writing, then got into musical theater and doing the whole Broadway scene in New York and stage and film and TV. So I've always kind of been an artistic personality. But like many of us, we derail and then we derail again and then we fall off
Yes.
course again. So we fall away from, the path that we're being led to. But it's funny. I want to say that I had been experiencing symptoms without knowing exactly what they were, probably from my late teens into my
Oh, wow.
early 20s. Um, and after speaking with my now neurologist, who actually opened and runs the center, the MS Center for California through Hoag in Newport Beach. He's amazing, Dr. Daniel Benderi. He thinks that from the progression that I've had, that I've probably had it for over 10 years and just didn't even know.
Wow.
So yeah, no, I was dancing. I was performing, 6 shows a week, sometimes with different theater companies and whatnot. So it was a lot, it was a lot. But my path has kind of gone in different directions as far as now being a motivational speaker and working as a multiple sclerosis and disability advocate and a writer. It's like, okay, throw it at me.
It's cool to see. Yeah, it's cool to see how we get led in different directions. So when you finally really started noticing it, what kind of symptoms did you start having?
It's funny, being a dancer, I've always had really, really good balance. I've still always been a klutz. I'm the kid in the ballet class that will trip doing a pirouette. It's just what I did.
Me too.
Um, so it wasn't super, super surprising because I was already kind of that clumsy kid. but my family actually started noticing it. And my mom, I remember her saying when I was a teenager, like, pick up your feet when you walk. Oh my gosh, you're dragging your feet. Stop dragging your feet. Stop dragging your feet. And I didn't even realize I was doing it.
Yeah.
And then, you know, chronic, crazy fatigue. Like I would get, you know, a solid 8 hours or even 9 to 10 hours of sleep. And I felt like I only slept 2.
Wow.
And I remember being in my early 20s and having like these weird tingly sensations. But again, you just kind of ignore it. Like I didn't know
Yeah.
anything about MS back then. So I just said to
Yeah.
myself, that's what bodies do. Bodies are
Yeah.
weird. You know what I mean? So you don't really pay attention to it until it becomes so apparent that your body's like, yo, something's wrong. Pay attention to me. And then you start to
Yeah.
dig deeper, you know?
Yeah. I know in our 20s we think we're invincible, so we're just
Oh,
like,
totally.
it's nothing. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, you
So
think
then,
nothing bad's going to happen. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute.
right, until it slaps us in the face. So then what finally led to you then being diagnosed and being able to get your Allard Blue Rocker?
Sure. So, let's see. We're coming up to June. So my husband and I got married June 1st of last year. And about 2 months prior to our wedding, I took a crazy fall down our hardwood laminate staircase. I
Wow.
had my mom's tiny little cute chihuahua in my arms as I was walking down the stairs. And she's so tiny that I knew that if I landed on her, I'm going to kill her.
Yeah.
She has so many ailments. So I took Mia, and I put her out in front of me as I was falling down the stairs. So I did not brace myself. The dog
Oh
is
no.
okay. We love little Mia. But I severely damaged my back and my, see, I can't find a noun right now. My butt bone. Why can't I think of what this is called?
Your tailbone or
Yes, my tailbone and like my
your
coccyx
coccyx?
area.
Yeah.
So went to see, you know, doctor. He said, oh, you know, you definitely bruised something and we'll see if it's something misaligned. Well, I had already been falling months prior and not kind of putting 2 and 2 together. So I think the reason for my fall was the fact that I was just off kilter and off balance.
Yeah.
Now, a couple months after that, I noticed that, you know, when you're standing and you're putting your legs into your underwear and you're lifting your legs up, I couldn't get my left leg in the underwear hole. I had to like kind of take my underwear and like lasso my leg and then like pull them up. And it was bizarre. So I was, you know, standing and I was able to lift my left leg, or I'm sorry, my right leg, but then my left, I can't hold it. So, and this is me trying as hard as I can. It just kind of, it wilts like a sad flower.
Wow.
So, I noticed that and I'm like, okay, well, it's due to the fall. Slip disc, might need surgery. Okay, wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. So
Yeah.
I saw my primary at the time, and the primary goes, after doing some in-office testing and stuff, he goes, you know what, I'd feel more comfortable if I sent you to a neurologist. And I'm like, dude, I fell down the stairs. It was bad. The bruise looked like an eggplant. It was terrible.
Wow.
So he sent me to a neurologist. They did a set of MRIs with and without contrast. They did all sorts of other tests. They did a vision evoke response test, and it came back as an MS baby. So yeah, it was a lot, but it kind of gave me some reassurance and clarity of a lot of symptoms that I had been feeling for years, and I just had no idea what it was, or didn't pay attention to what it was, or really didn't care. Because it's true, like if you're not necessarily being forced to learn about something, given a situation that you don't have any other choice but to learn about it, you don't really pay attention to it as much until you're in it.
Totally. Yeah. And I know once, you know, all that's behind us and we're like, you know, now we're off being busy, it's easy to forget what it felt like. But maybe kind of let us know what your emotions were like on that day when you know, got that diagnosis.
It was crazy. I am a very passionate individual. It's funny. I'm East Coast Italian and a Scorpio. So I always ask my husband, I'm like, am I uptight? Am I crazy? And he goes, no, sweetheart, you're passionate. That's his sweet way of saying I'm crazy. But, you know, I've always been the kind of person that wears my heart on my sleeves. I am very expressive. I'm not one to hide my emotions at all. So it was a definite moment of whiplash.
Hmm.
You know, I was confused. I was afraid. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to potentially one day end up in a wheelchair, which now in retrospect, it's like, if that happens, that's okay. Like, that's a beautiful thing. Like,
Yeah.
I bring it on, baby. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But no, at first, it's funny. I want to say there was 5 minutes. So take a slot of 5 minutes. The first 1 to 2 minutes, I'd say the first minute was devastation.
Hmm.
Second minute was probably fear. Third was confusion. And then the fourth and fifth was determination. And I'm going to make this work and I'm going to figure it out. And this is my chance to share my story and dive into my purpose. Because as a musician or an artist or a songwriter or somebody that's just passionate about anything, you have these moments where you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Is this the path I'm supposed to be on? I'm like hunting for a calling. I'm searching for a calling. I felt like within that 5 minute gap, when I first found out that the fourth and fifth minute was God saying, this is what you're supposed to do. This is your story. This is what, you know, the story that you're supposed to be telling right now to help others and to motivate others and inspire others. So roll with it. So it was, it's so funny. It's like, it was probably more than just five emotions packed into a 5 minute time
Hmm.
frame. But as soon as I got to the fourth and fifth minute, I was like, game on. I am going to make this rock. I'm going to make it, you know, express me as an individual. You know, I'm going to work towards breaking the stigma of what disability looks like. Because even prior to my diagnosis, people seem to have this predetermined stereotype of what disability looks like. And it's taught to us, and it's not our fault. It's not society's fault. It's not anybody's fault. It's just, it's kind of how society has kind of packaged up what disability looks like. And we see it every day with the handicap symbol of a person in a wheelchair. That is
Hmm.
not the only way to depict what disability looks like. That is just a tiny, tiny fraction of what disability looks like, or chronic illness, or chronic pain, or neurological issues, whatever have you. So going into it right away, I'm like, okay, you know what? I knew prior to diagnosis, when I would see somebody with, you know, a physical ailment or a physical alteration or challenge. I hate to say disabled because it's such a negative word in my mind. And I'm
I agree.
constantly saying on my Instagram and website and social media platforms, don't diss the abled. And it's so, so true. It's like when I look at somebody with a wheelchair or a prosthetic, you have to start retraining your mind to not say, oh my gosh, poor them, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. And that's what was happening to me when I was diagnosed. I kept getting, oh, I'm so sorry, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, why are you apologizing? Stop being sorry. You know what I mean? It's like, this is my path, this is the cards that I was dealt, and I'm gonna own it. And if you see somebody in a wheelchair or with a prosthetic, don't ever view them as, you know, a point of pity or sorrow, because guess what? They have to figure out how to make themselves breakfast, brush their teeth, blow dry their hair if it's down to their knees, you know, whatever have you, but they're doing it with a challenge. That isn't something to be like sad about. That is something to inspire you. That is beautiful. That's empowering. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Um,
I
so
love
that's
that.
kind of been my pilgrimage.
I love it. I love that. That was your thought process, and then how you got clarity of like, this is my purpose and like this is my mission, and like I love that, and I agree. I think everybody has some kind of a disability, and you know, I think the only, like I think it was Scott Hamilton said, the only disability is a bad attitude. And so
Yeah.
I
Oh
love,
my gosh, that is so true.
yeah, yeah, I love your outlook on all of that. And it's like, yeah, don't feel sorry, be inspired. And I love that you said that. That's amazing.
Thank
So then you were diagnosed. So then how did you start getting around better before you got your blue
Um,
rocker?
well, I was kind of doing like this like gangster walk thing where I would
Yeah.
overcompensate with my right side for lack of ability
Hmm.
on my left. So my neurologist was telling me, and I've read this on so many different people's blogs and platforms, that MS is typically diagnosed after a trauma. So sometimes after childbirth or after an accident. I think my fall was that accident or trauma that kind of like kicked it into full gear, even though it had been like lingering and hanging out and being like, oh yeah, this is cool. And like, nope, I'm here now. So, you know, I think, gosh, it was hard. It wasn't easy. I noticed that my leg kept dragging more and more and more. I was falling, and then it started collapsing where it would completely buckle, but it would only buckle if my knee was at a certain angle. So it wouldn't buckle if my leg was completely straight. So if I started to bend my knee a little bit, it would just go blink and just kind of collapse. So my first neurologist said, okay, we'll start maybe implementing a walking cane. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, if I'm going to get one of these things, it's going to be leopard and it's going to be awesome looking.
Yeah. Go big.
So yeah, I started using a walking cane, and I got a little bit of relief. But I was still kind of dragging it. So what would happen is the front of my toe would kind of skip like a rock, like on the pavement. And then I would go, and then I would fall and eat it. So, my second neurologist, which is Dr. Daniel Banderi, and I love him. He's absolutely incredible. He recommended an AFO, and I knew nothing about. I think I remember him saying AFO, and I didn't even like ask what it was. I was just like, oh, okay, sure, that's great. And I'm writing it down in my iPhone, like in the notes section, like research AFO. And I got home and I saw them, and I'm like, okay, well, all right, I can do this. I'm going to make it work. So I went to the ortho doctor local that I was referred to, and tried on a different options. And it was different at first. I kind of felt Frankensteinian and kind of like locked up and whatnot. But I remember putting on the sample and walking down the hallway, and I was cruising. I was like, this is great. Look, I remember like literally yelling in this guy's office, and I felt so bad because I got so excited, but I'm like, look at me go. And he's like, yeah, go. This is a crazy lady in my office.
Oh, it's so cool.
But
That's
yeah,
so
I
cool.
mean, it was something that needed to happen, and it has allowed me to have a better quality of life. I don't wear it in my house. I kind of furniture walk, but I'm also not going very far in my house either. But it has definitely changed being able to move without falling, and you know, having that security and stability.
Yeah, you can't beat that. And I love that story. That makes me emotional too, like hearing your story about that, being so excited. I remember that same feeling, and that's just so cool. I love it. And then I also saw too that you do something special to your AFO, and then you're kind of working on a nonprofit to help others have that same option.
Yes. So as soon as I had the first appointment with the ortho fella, who I'm sure is terrified of me now because I was super loud in his office. I felt really bad after. I'm like, I'm so sorry I yelled, but I got so excited.
No, it's exciting. It's life-changing.
Totally. It's like one of the things that you don't think that, you know, are going to have such a big impact. They do. But I remember asking him in the appointment, I said, okay, well, what is it made out of? And he goes, well, carbon fiber. So I'm like, okay, is it like, what is the like, can you give me more specifics about the material as far as like heat resistance and whatnot? So he gave me a little bit of information. So I already had an idea in my head that I wanted to customize it. Not that there's anything wrong with navy blue, but for me, I'm like, okay, I've associated the feeling that I get with tingling sensation with glitter. I have kind of depicted that to, hey, it's sclerosis glitter. I just started that hashtag, so use it. Sclerosis glitter. Say that 5 times. Yeah. So I got home after the appointment, and I started researching what other objects are made of carbon fiber. And I got bicycles, I got helmets, I got tons of other stuff. And I'm like, okay, what kind of business or facility would facilitate in painting those kinds of objects, bikes, helmets, whatever. And I thought, I'm like, okay, well, I can't go to like a paint manufacturer because that's like super big to start out with. Like, hey, I'm nobody, help me with this crazy idea. So I reached out to about 30 to 40 local auto body shops, in my area in Mission Viejo, California. Didn't get any responses. And then finally, I got one response back from South County Auto Body in Lake Forest, California, from the owner, Max Gilmore, saying, I had presented the email, hey, this is what I do. I'm a MS and disability advocate. I have an AFO, really looking to customize it and bring the options for customization of mobility aids to the forefront, being accessible to the consumer. And he loved the idea. He said, I'm absolutely in. Why don't you come over and meet with me? We can talk about it more. So I, expressed to him how I wanted it to look. And here she is.
I love it.
So
I
what
love
they
it.
did is they actually professionally painted it. So if you have an AFO or through Allard, that, all the padding can come off. So basically I just brought them the shell. And they painted it with silver and then glitter and then Prisma flakes. So in the sun, I don't think it will actually show in the light here, but let me see.
I love it.
So it is all
That's so cool.
glistening and shiny. And it's funny, I had gone into it thinking, okay, I want to feel confident. I want it to represent me. I am not going to worry about costs or anything like that. So it kind of turned into a situation where I was bringing, Max and his business at South County Auto Body an opportunity to do something more, not more meaningful, because, oh my gosh, you're so going to have that guy that's obsessed with his car collection. And they do customization for tons of old, beautiful classic cars and all sorts of, alternative projects, but he was looking for a project that was outside of the box, and I was looking for a way to bring this opportunity to other warriors. So it kicked off the idea in my head that, okay, if I have this opportunity and I was able to do this, I can't be the only person that gets to do this. Like, that's ridiculous. And it built confidence for me too. Like, I would see people staring at it being like, oh my gosh, I love your brace. And then that kind of allowed me to give them the opportunity to ask, well, what is it for? And then, oh, it's for multiple sclerosis and I have foot drop. And it goes back to kind of, if you talk about it, you have to own it more. And it's kind of like a way that you can accept it more. So after speaking with Max and seeing the final product, I'm like, okay, I have to do something about this so other people have this opportunity. So I started a nonprofit organization that specializes in the customization of mobility aids. So we can do walkers, we can do canes, AFOs, helmets. We can do pieces of mobility scooters. So if you're just shipping just the part that needs to be painted rather than the whole scooter or whatnot, pieces of wheelchairs, everything. So I was actually supposed to be launching the organization now, but with everything going on in our world right now, I kind of put that on the back burner to launch it probably in the fall. So I haven't even disclosed the name of the organization yet, just because I'm keeping everything, limited until the full launch. But I've already worked with a few people that I've customized pieces. So we're building up the content on the website for their story and how it impacted them. So if you or someone is interested in customizing, their AFO or other mobility aid, please DM me on Instagram, and I'd love to give them that opportunity as well.
That is so cool. I want one. I've always thought about it. I'm like, I want to paint mine, but I never thought about researching and finding out that that's the best option. And so cool.
I knew that, like, I didn't want to make it like a Michael's project gone wrong. Because, even with insurance, like they're an expensive item. They're not cheap. So I knew that if I was going to do this, I needed to do it right. So hi, people are coming on. Yay. So it didn't turn into like, oh, that was a craft, it's like, those YouTube videos you see, craft projects going on. I'm like, it's not going to be that. I'm not going to allow that to happen. But she's sturdy and
I love it.
Actually, the straps, what I did, so these were just the original black straps up here. And what I did was I had just glitter fabric that matches the actual plate of the brace sewn on. and it's so easy. It's like my seamstress charged me $5 to put the glitter fabric on the strap. It's like you
That's
just have to
awesome.
think, you know what I mean? Like step
Yeah.
outside the box that we're designed to be in.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And I love seeing
Thank
you
you.
take, your situation and take your passion and like put them together and like come up with something so like cool and unique and like be able to help people because that's awesome. I'm like,
You
I want
have
one. A lot of
to.
people are gonna want one. So yeah,
Yeah, for
I
sure, for
love it.
sure. And
So
it's like that's the kind of confidence and power, like empowerment that like we need to have, it's like nobody should settle because when we go into an optometrist, there's walls after walls after walls of eyeglasses, different kinds of frames, different color frames, different sizes. And it's like, yes, within
mhm.
certain barriers, obviously mobility aids have to fall within some sort of boundary. They can't have so many options like eyeglasses because eyeglasses are cheaper and smaller and
Yeah,
faster to manufacture and produce. But if you start to have, these options for AFOs or braces or canes or other mobility aids, it's not only going to break the stigma of what disability looks like, but it's also going to empower somebody because you're not going to feel confident if you're not happy with what you're wearing. That would be like me being in khaki. I just don't like khaki. You know what I mean? Even though I'm from New England and, I grew up in polo sweaters and khaki pants with Doc Martin, loafers, it's like that's not what speaks to my soul now. Not if you love khakis, nothing against that. But you have to find what you're passionate about and the best way that's going to bring you confidence and bring you a better quality of happiness, because if you have a better quality of happiness and confidence, you're going to have a better quality of life in general.
exactly. Exactly. I love that. Well, we're excited for your launch and we'll
Thank
support that
you.
100%.
Thank
And
you
you've
so
answered
much.
this a little bit, but what have your physical challenges taught you and what message might you have for anyone that's struggling with physical challenges or I don't know, I think everybody's got is a little bit down these days with everything going on. So yeah, just
Yeah,
kind of what it's taught you and a message you
sure.
might have for people.
So there's a lyric in one of my original songs. I can't remember which song it is because they all seem to blend together sometime. But the lyric is, "Grieving is not a weakness, nor pain your enemy. Use the what is it? Pain is ay ay ay. Grievance not a weakness, nor pain your enemy. The battles are reminders of who you're meant to be." And I think that says a lot, that it's okay to fall down. It's okay to ugly cry. It's okay to be, a train wreck at times. It's okay to be a hot mess. That's why I named my brand A Hot Mess, because I am a hot mess, but I'm putting it out there and you have to own it. So give yourself grace. And if your body is doing new things, you have to do new things. Your body is going to make changes and does make changes daily. Just this, I don't even know, what is today? Today's Friday. So all the days are blending together
I
because I
know
haven't left my
totally.
house since March 3rd. I'm like, I don't even know. Is it the weekend?
But it is
um,
Friday, you're right.
I know it's so crazy, but even last week I started noticing some stuff in my face, and it's like, okay, my body's making changes, so you have to make changes with it. You have to make those adjustments that are going to be able to push you to figuring out how to better your quality of life, regardless of what you're being thrown at, or what is being thrown at you. I mean, so it's kind of like a chess game. And I don't play chess. I'm just using it as a metaphor. You have to figure out where the pieces go. And if something bumps in your way, then you have to move something else and figure out a way around it. So it's all about adapting, accepting, because that's a thing that I think a lot of people have working against them is a sense of acceptance. They don't want to really own what they're dealing with. They kind of just stay stuck in the negative. And I'll tell
Mhm.
you what, when you do, it is a downward spiral of crap that you get yourself into. Your mind, body, soul, energy, everything is connected. So I do think that if you have a positive and a more alternative outlook on your reality, you have the power to change your reality. I always say that when you change your perception, you change your reality. And that's so true, because what was it, yesterday or the day before? I can't remember. I was doing a live feed for another organization, and I was literally about to get on and sing a few songs, and I couldn't feel the left side of my face. And I'm like, well, this is going to be interesting, but I'm going to do it anyways, you know? So you have to push yourself through those crappy moments, because you don't have another option. You can either sink, or you could continue to swim, grab a floaty, and put on your water wings. You know what I mean?
Yes, I love that. And that's very relatable to everybody right now too. I love that you said adapt and accept um and yeah, so I love that. That's a great message to
Thank
all of
you.
us. So thank you. And
Thank
then
you.
I know that you talked about your singing. I know you also blog and motivational speak. So maybe tell us a little bit about that, and then where people can find you and follow you at.
Sure, absolutely. So it's funny. I've been performing since a very young age. I studied classical voice.
Wow.
Yes, the tattooed girl sings opera. People so don't believe that. And then I do it and they're like, oh, okay. See, break the stigma.
So awesome.
Opera singers can look like this. But as far as like my music goes, I sang blues and jazz and theater and country and Christian. When I was diagnosed, it was kind of like a light switch in my head of, okay, not going to write about, not that it's, I'm not going to write about love anymore. Of course I am, but I want to motivate. I had a total topic that I needed to hone in on, and God was like, okay, you know what I want you to write about it. So now I'm only focusing on motivational music, and I write a lot of Christian music as well. And for me, I think right when I was diagnosed, I started diving into more motivational music, not only to reach others and inspire others, but it was a healing mechanism for me as well.
Yeah, I love that.
To find peace in music, because I've always been that person that I totally stink when it comes to talking to people, but I can sing and convey the same sort of message. You've got notes and chords and modulations and all the stuff that you can compact into really honing in on the subtext of what you want to say without necessarily saying it. So for me, music has really been that communicator that I can relay. And I really hope, and I get DMs from people after they'll hear me on a different organization's site or whatnot with one of my original songs, and it's reassuring to know that it's being well received and my message is helping. And if it's helping one person, awesome. If it's helping 100, awesome again. It doesn't the scale in which I'm trying to offer a different lens view on all of this is irrelevant. It's what I'm being called to do, and it has its days. I'll tell you what, it's challenging, because Brett's support is a huge factor when it comes to being a vocalist, and fatigue counterdicts that.
Yeah.
So you gotta roll with it, make the adjustments, and if it's not going your way, don't beat yourself up. If and that goes to anything, not just music. If something in your life isn't going right, then just take a step back, grieve about it, because everybody has this preconceived, notion of what grief looks like and what is acceptable, and what was an acceptable way to grieve. And that is just, it's a load of baloney, because everybody handles things differently. Everybody grieves differently. And we have to be nicer to ourselves. We have to give ourselves more grace, I think. So yeah, I think I went off topic a little bit there.
No, that's great. No, it's great. I love it. I love hearing it. And yeah, where can people follow you at then?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram, Facebook, and I have a website as well. So on Instagram and Facebook, you guys can find me at a hot MS. So it's like a hot mess, but MS. Get it? Boom.
Love it.
See, taking something crappy and turning it into something funny. Comedy is my go-to. I think it's like my major crazy defense mechanism. Facebook, you can also find me at AHOTMS, so a hot MS, and then my website as well, which is www.ahotms, so AHOTMS.
Perfect. So go follow her. I am, and it's inspirational. And I'm so glad we got to talk to you today. And
I
I
know.
love
Thank you,
your,
Wendy, so
yeah,
much. I'm so amazed by, Allard USA's program, Get Up Today. I love hearing and reading the different stories. I think it's so empowering. And oh my gosh, marathon runner. I'm not even like a parking lot runner. That's like amazing.
it's not fast or good, but but yeah, but they are an amazing company, and I'm glad you got connected. And it's like a big family, and it's just cool to hear
Absolutely.
everyone's stories and hear what they've done differently. And I appreciate your story so much, and your message, and the things that
Thank
you're
you.
doing. And
Thank
it's
you. And you
so
as well.
exciting.
I've read your story and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's so cool.
About that. I'm excited to get to hopefully meet you in person one day, and
Yes.
give you a hug,
I
and hear you
know,
sing. I can't sing.
virtual
Yes,
hug.
virtual hugs. Once we're not social distancing anymore,
I
so
know. I'll tell
yes.
you what, see, we're all adjusting. It's an adjustment right now, but
Adapt and adjust.
make it
Yes.
work.
Exactly. But it just means we have more time for this kind of stuff. So thank you so much for sharing your message, and yeah, stay healthy, and I'll get to hug you in
Thank
person when
you.
this is all over.
Thank
So
you. Yes, absolutely.
thank
All
you
right,
so much,
sweetie. Thank you
Brittany.
so much, love.
Have a great day. Stay
Bye.
healthy.
You too. You too.